They laughed at you, mocked you, spoke your name like it was a joke, whispered behind your back, waiting for you to break. And for a while, maybe you did. Maybe you let their words crawl inside your head, sink into your skin, poison your blood. You let their doubts become your doubts. You let their ridicule shape your reflection. And every time you hesitated, every time you backed down, every time you allowed them to believe they were right, another piece of you was lost. But that ends today. Right now, in this moment, you make a choice. You either keep crawling through life, feeding off the scraps of approval they throw at you, or you become their nightmare. Because here's the truth. No one fears the weak. No one respects the fragile. The world doesn't care about your feelings, your struggle, your pain. It only bows to those who refuse to break. You think they hurt you? You think their words, their laughter, their doubt was enough to break you? No. What broke you was you. Every excuse, every hesitation, every time you stood in front of the mirror and saw a victim instead of a weapon. But listen closely. Feel this in your bones. That version of you is dead, buried, forgotten. You are standing at the edge of your old life, looking down at the ashes of the person you used to be, and there are only two choices now: stay in the dirt or rise like something they've never seen before. They wanted to see you fall, let them. They wanted to see you suffer, let them. Because when you stand back up, when you keep moving forward, when you refuse to let them define you, that's when their fear speaks louder than their words. They thought they could break you, but they never understood what you were becoming. This is war, and you just woke up. You want the truth, the cold, unforgiving truth. You were never weak because of them. You were weak because you let yourself be. No one put a gun to your head and made you doubt yourself. No one forced you to swallow their opinions like they were facts. You did that. You allowed their voices to be louder than your own. You let them dictate what you were capable of, but not anymore. Because here's something they'll never tell you. Weakness is a choice. And every second you spend whining, blaming, waiting for someone to hand you strength, you are making the choice to stay weak. You feel like you've been wronged, like the world has been unfair to you. Listen carefully. The world doesn't care. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to lift you up and tell you that you're special. You either take what's yours, or you get left behind. Harsh? Good. Let it sting. Let it burn. Because that's the fire you've been missing. That's the truth no one wants to hear. The truth that separates the predators from the prey. And you've been prey for too damn long. How many times have you sat in silence, stewing in your own self-pity? How many times have you let opportunities slip away because you were too afraid to fail? How many times have you watched others rise while you convinced yourself you weren't ready? Every time you chose fear over action, every time you let doubt sink its claws into your mind, you chose weakness. You made yourself small. You curled up and accepted that this was all you were ever gonna be. But here's the thing about weakness. It only defines you if you refuse to destroy it. Right now, in this moment, you decide if today is the day you finally put an end to it. You decide if this is the moment where you stop making excuses, stop waiting for the perfect time, stop looking for validation from people who wouldn't even notice if you disappeared. Because if you don't take control, someone else will. That's how the world works. The strong make the rules. The strong decide who rises and who gets trampled. The strong take everything while the weak sit in the dark, whispering about how unfair life is. So tell me, who do you want to be? Because the moment you step into your own power, the moment you stop waiting and start fighting, everything changes. The world bends to those who refuse to be controlled, and when you become one of them, When you become a force, people feel it before you even speak. They respect you, they fear you, and most of all, they regret ever doubting you. But if you stay where you are, if you keep pretending you need permission to be great, then you will be nothing. You will be forgotten. You will rot in the graveyard of wasted potential, just another name no one remembers. And that is the worst fate of all. So what's it going to be? Stay weak or rise? Decide. You feel that? That weight pressing down on your chest? That sickening pull in your gut? That's reality sinking in. That's the realization that everything you've suffered, everything you've lost, wasn't because of them. It was because of you. And that's the moment most people run. Because facing the truth is painful. It's easier to blame the world. It's easier to pretend that the odds were against you. That if things had been different, you would be different. But that's a lie. A coward's excuse. And today, that coward dies. Because you are standing at a crossroads. One path leads back to the same empty life you've been living. The one filled with doubt, hesitation, weakness. The other? That path is lined with war, with sacrifice, with pain that will break the version of you that never deserved to survive. But if you endure it, if you bleed for it, you will rise as something they will never be able to stop. So make no mistake, this is a death. The death of the old you, the weak you, the scared, apologetic, fragile you. And death is never painless. This is where most people give up. This is where they beg for comfort, where they plead for someone to tell them that it's okay to quit, that it's okay to stay broken. And if that's what you want, leave, stop listening, go back to the life you had before. But if you're still here, if you're still breathing through the fire in your chest, then listen carefully, because what comes next is war. A war against the voices in your head that tell you you're not good enough. A war against every weakness that still grips you by the throat. A war against the version of you that deserves to die. And war is brutal. This will hurt. This will break you down, rip you apart, grind you into the dirt until there is nothing left but the raw, unshakable core of who you were always meant to be. And that's the moment they fear, because they have spent their entire lives feeding off your doubt. They have enjoyed watching you hesitate, watching you flinch, watching you kneel. But when you finally rise, when you refuse to break, refuse to bow, refuse to stop, that's when their laughter turns into silence. And then comes the fear. Because when you become the kind of person who doesn't quit, who doesn't beg, who doesn't bend to the will of others, you become a threat. They are respected, they are feared, and the best part? They will never admit it. They'll try to pretend you're still the same, they'll laugh like they did before, but deep down, in the pit of their stomach, they will know. You are not the person they once controlled. You are not prey. You are not weak. You are not someone they can stop, because you became it. So tell me, are you ready to set the world ablaze? So here you stand, on the edge of everything you thought you were, staring into the unknown, the place where the weak fall, where the broken beg for mercy, where the cowards turn back. But you are done with weakness, done with hesitation, done being anything less than unstoppable. Because the moment you see the truth, that no one is coming to save you, that no one is going to hand you power, you have only two choices. Take it, or be forgotten. And you know what's worse than pain? Worse than struggle? Worse than failure? Regret. Because the graveyards are filled with men who had potential, men who could have been something, men who sat on the sidelines waiting for the right moment, and that moment never came. Do you want to die with your greatness still inside you? Or do you want to tear yourself open piece by piece until the world is forced to recognize what you are? Because from this moment forward, you are no longer asking, no longer waiting, no longer hesitating. You are taking your power back, taking your mind back, taking every ounce of potential you let rot inside you and forging it into something unbreakable. And it will not be easy. The path ahead is war. It is discipline when you are exhausted. It is action when every part of you screams to quit. It is stepping into the fire and staying there until your weakness is nothing but ashes. And the best part? No one can stop you but you. They will try. They will tell you that you've changed, that you're too intense, that you should slow down, be realistic, stay in your place. Because they are terrified of what happens when you finally understand what you are. They know that once you stop hesitating, once you stop apologizing, once you stop holding yourself back, there is no chain strong enough to hold you. And that's the moment their fear outweighs their words. They spent their lives keeping you down. They enjoyed watching you doubt yourself. But now, they don't see weakness. They see something they can't predict, something they can't control, a force. And that is the moment you win. Not when they congratulate you, not when they clap for you, not when they pretend they believed in you all along. You win the second they realize that nothing they say, nothing they do will ever stop you again. Because when you stop fearing failure, when you stop fearing rejection, when you stop fearing pain, you become the one thing they never wanted you to be. Unstoppable. And that is why they will fear you. Because the same people who mocked you, doubted you, whispered behind your back, they will never have the courage to become what you just became. And that will haunt them for the rest of their lives. You feel that? That fire in your chest? That shift in your mind? That's power. The kind of power they told you didn't exist. The kind they spent their lives running from. The kind they feared you would one day find. Now that you have it, there's no going back. Because once you see the truth, once you realize that every limitation was a lie, that every doubt was a cage built to keep you small, there's no unseeing it. You are free, not comfortable, not safe, not ordinary, free. Free from their opinions, free from their expectations, free from the chains that kept you crawling when you were meant to conquer. And now, it's time to do what they never had the courage to do. Crush every weakness, kill every excuse, burn every hesitation until nothing remains but the version of you that was always meant to exist. Because here's the truth most people will never accept. You were never weak. You were never incapable. You were never meant to blend in, to obey, to live a life of quiet desperation. But they convinced you otherwise. They fed you lies. They planted doubt. They trained you to be soft, to seek comfort, to avoid struggle. Because a man who is truly free is a man they cannot control. And now you are beyond their reach. Because the version of you that was once afraid, he's dead. And what stands in his place is something they cannot stop. You have walked through the fire, and instead of burning, you became the flame. You have been broken, beaten, tested, and instead of surrendering, you sharpen yourself into a weapon. You are no longer held back by fear, because fear is the fuel that now drives you. You are no longer waiting for permission, because you are the one who decides. You are no longer playing by their rules, because you are the one who sets them. You are the storm, the force of nature they never saw coming. The one who does not ask, does not beg, does not need approval. You take, you move, you dominate. And the best part? They will never understand how you did it. Because while they wasted their lives hiding from pain, you embraced it. While they let fear control them, you used it. While they sat in the shadows hoping someone would come save them, you stood up, walked through the fire, and became something. And that is why they will always fear you, because you are no longer like them. They will never have the strength to do what you just did. And from this moment forward, you don't stop. You don't slow down. You don't hesitate. You take every challenge, every struggle, every obstacle, and you smash through it, because the war is not over. It has just begun. So now you know. Now you see it. Now you understand what you were always meant to be. But let me make one thing clear. This is not the end. This is not the moment you pat yourself on the back and return to the life you once knew. That life is gone. The weak, hesitant version of you is dead. And if you dare turn back, if you dare betray this fire inside you, understand one thing: you will suffer. Because once you've seen the truth, once you've tasted your own power, once you've felt what it means to be unbreakable, there is no going back to weakness without pain. You think struggle is painful? Try living with the knowledge that you were capable of more, and you chose to let it rot. That is the kind of pain that will eat you alive. So hear me now. This is your line in the sand. The world will not wait for you. The opportunities will not wait for you. Your time is running out. Either you rise and take what is yours, or you stay where you are and watch someone else do it. Because someone out there is hungry. Someone out there is relentless. Someone out there is looking at every excuse you've ever made and laughing, because they are willing to go where you refuse to. And if that's not you, if you let yourself slip back into the shadows, if you surrender to comfort, if you choose weakness over war, then stay there. Stay in your excuses. Stay in your regret. Stay in your wasted potential. But don't you dare look at those who rise and ask why it wasn't you. Because you already know the answer. And there is no one to blame but you. There is no turning back, no second chances, no rewinds, no safety nets. The war has been declared, and the battlefield is your life. You either march forward or get trampled by those who do. Because listen to me now. No one is coming. No one. Not your friends, not your family, not some imaginary savior who will drag you out of the hole you've been rotting in. If you stay weak, you stay forgotten. If you hesitate, you get replaced. If you refuse to fight, you lose by default. And the only thing worse than losing is knowing you never even tried. So now you have a choice. You can take everything you felt in this moment, the fire, the anger, the hunger, and turn it into action. Or you can let it fade, let it rot, let it become just another moment where you almost changed. But if you do that, understand this. One day you will look back and realize that you had a chance to become something more, and you let it slip away. And when that day comes, when you are older, weaker, filled with nothing but regret, you will beg for another chance. You will pray to go back to this moment, to be given just one more shot to rise. But it will be too late. The door will be shut, the time will be gone, and you will have done it to yourself. So make your decision. Right here, right now. Rise or stay weak. Fight or be forgotten, because time does not wait, and neither do the strong.